Hey, hi everyone. Thank you for being early. Oh my gosh, I see so many faces. Hi, Telma, Stephanie's here, Elise, Diamond is here, Sherry, all the way from Hawaii. I'm never gonna forget that because now I wanna come visit. Hi, Erica. Oh my gosh, I see so many familiar faces. We're gonna give this a minute for everyone to join. Is anyone here for like your first Finish Strong call? Was anyone not able to connect on the first one live? Let us know in the chat. Yep, people are already sharing where they're watching from. Yay, okay, I see a couple hands raised for the first Finish Strong call. We're so excited to have you guys here. Yes, go ahead and share in the chat. Even though we did this the last time, it's always really fun to see where people are tuning in from. We have, okay, well, we're already international. We've got our Canadian crew, a lot of Canadians. I love it. West Virginia, Arizona, Nevada. Wow. Okay. So incredible. I want to hear, I heard that there were some pretty cool connections that happened in the breakout rooms on Tuesday. Did anyone have just like a really cool connection, or you met someone who lives close to you? A few of you shared really cool stories and I had no idea. Yes, okay, so many of you are saying the best connections, the breakout rooms were amazing. I'll explain, if this is your first call, don't worry, we'll explain exactly what that is and what's gonna happen tonight. But it was so fun to hear the the divine connections that happened. And it's always really fun to see where the Zoom just randomly breaks people out into these groups, and it's never on accident. I do find that. So we are going to get rolling tonight because we have a lot to cover. We are going to really work to build upon what we started on the first call, which was all about taking your big ideas. No matter what idea you really want to focus on between now and the end of the year, how do you take that idea, break it down into manageable action steps so you can seriously make some progress? So I just want to check in, and what I'll have you do, I want you to raise your little electronic hand if you want to share. I'm going to take 2 shares. I want to hear about breakthroughs that happened as you were doing your homework from call 1. So did you have an aha? Did you have a realization? Did you realize your big goal is actually a little bit more tangible than maybe you were thinking it was? I want to hear just 2 breakthroughs or shares from the homework from the first call. And to do that, if you want to share, all you have to do is you click on the reaction at the bottom of the screen, the little smiley face guy, and then you'll see it says raise hand. So if you haven't used that on Zoom, that is how we can tell who wants to share. And I'm not sure, Ash, you've had your hand raised, but I'm not sure if that's intentional or if that was an accidental bump because you seem to be grocery shopping. I love this. I love to see like where people are watching from. Thank you everyone who's keeping your cameras on too, because your energy just is giving me so much life. So Ash, did you want to share something? Oh, okay, she put her hand down. She looked like she was grocery shopping. She's like my favorite chef ever. Everyone should hire her, but she looks like she's getting ready to cook food for people. So, okay, I see we're gonna have Christine and then Erica share. And what I want you to do, we're gonna share really intentionally so we can keep these short and sweet and get to the goods tonight. So you're gonna share your name, where you live, and then just really quick, tell us your breakthrough. We don't have time for a lot of backstory, but we're just gonna do name, where you're from, and then your breakthrough. Gina, I see your name in the chat as well. We'll do 3 shares instead of 2 because I would love to hear what you wanted to share. So Christine, do you want to kick us off?
So for me, Hi, I'm Christine coming from Dallas, Texas. Hey y'all. I'm cooking dinner. But my biggest breakthrough was it's possible, 1, and 2, I am meant to connect with people. I was actually going back and I realized on the bus in 7th grade, I had a dictaphone and I would ask people questions and interview people at 12, 13 years old. How did it take me so long to get a podcast where I'm interviewing people? But this is where I'm supposed to be. I think that was realization, is that little Christine knew that this is what I was supposed to do, and that was silenced.
Oh, so powerful. Oh my goodness. I
So
love that.
I was like, oh my goodness, I need to connect people, like not necessarily in a group form like this, but I need to start telling more stories. I need to start interviewing. I need to start educating myself on how to interview correctly and fluidly, and use my platform to tell those stories, because 12-year-old Christine knew, and she just got her period. So she knew a lot.
You can figure it out.
I know. And
Oh my gosh, I love that. Christine, you
Thank you
rock.
for letting me share.
Yes, and trust me, we are going to take exactly that breakthrough and we're going to take it to the next level tonight. So you just get ready. That is amazing. Okay, we're going to go to Erica next. And then Ashley does actually have her hand raised in the grocery store. We'll go to her, and then Gina wanted to share. So we'll take those 4. So Erica, introduce yourself, where you're from, and then what was your aha from the first call?
Hey ladies, I'm Erica and I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. And my aha breakout from the homework was how many people want to help and want to be part of it. It just really was mind-blowing for me. I'm a very independent person. I'm an Enneagram 1. And so I'm always like, oh, let me do this all myself. So it was amazing to see just everyone kind of get excited about it with me and step up and say how they can help or some ideas to go into it. So amazing.
Wow. And who else kind of looked at your goal and realized, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this all by myself? Anyone have that aha? Yeah, that is powerful. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Okay, Ashley, coming to us live from the grocery store. Is that Sprouts? I love
my
Sprouts.
gosh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Don't mind me, you guys. Yeah. But hi, I'm Ashley Delro. I'm a little private chef over here in Phoenix. Hello, Lynn.
Hey.
So this breakout group yesterday, or what day was it? I'm so lost with my days right now. So 3 of us were from Arizona, and we were all within an hour of each other. And hello. We actually have all gone through the same, like I'm going through some personal things right now in the background behind my business, which has really it's been hard for me to kind of put my business on the forefront when I'm dealing with other things in the background. And it's been very, very hard, but these other women have gone through the same thing. 2 of them have gone through the same thing of what I'm going through. And it just I wanted to cry. So it's been amazing to connect.
Oh my goodness. And isn't that beautiful to realize, like I said, there's no accidents in who gets paired with who in those breakout rooms, because sometimes we need to remember we're not alone for the big goals, but we also need to remember we're not alone when it comes to the big challenges too. I love you so much. I'm so grateful you're here, even in the middle of the grocery store. Okay, we only have time for one more share. We're going to have more sharing later. Do not worry. I want to hear from as many of you as I can. I did see in the chat, I thought I saw Gina's hand. So if you're here, Gina, our winner of the giveaway from call 1, Gina, come on down. I can't see your face on the first page, but I think you're here.
I'm here.
Hey!
So I'm Gina, I'm from Temecula, California. And the takeaway that I took from our session was to choose one thing. I think for me, I am an idea person. I literally have so many ideas, and that I really that just meant so much to me it was almost not that you commanded us to do it, but it's do it, pick one. But it was a great leadership tool for me because I am that kind of a person like, well, I can do this, and I can do this, I can do this. And it's like honing on one thing, Gina, and do that really good. And when you get done with that, then you can do the other things. And so that was my takeaway. I thought that was just a beautiful, like, just reminder to just slow down. Your ideas still matter, all the other ones do, but this one, let's just work on this. And of course the breakout was amazing. I love all the girls that were in the breakout. They're awesome. That's the next thing I would just say, that I've like just connecting with other women, super cool, love it. So yeah, thank you so much, Lizzie.
Yay. Oh my goodness. Well, I love those takeaways. And no matter if you had a chance to do your homework yet from call one or not, I want to remind all of us, there's no way to do this whole challenge right. There's no perfect, there's no such thing as doing it one way. I really want you to take away from this experience, more than anything, a framework that you can apply to any big goal that you want to go after. And one that is so flexible, even when you fall off track. And for some, did anyone fall off track just from like Tuesday till now? Anyone like have a lot of life happen? You're like, gosh, I didn't get to do what I said I was going to do. Welcome to reality, right? If only my life could perfectly work out the way that my calendar looks like it should, I would probably have several multi-million-dollar businesses by this point, but that's not reality. So tonight we're going to build upon the conversation we started on call one, and we're going to talk about not only how do you take what you started, really put it into a plan, and a flexible one that gives you momentum, that helps you have those small wins that keep you motivated and keep you going even when life happens, because it will. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And just double check, make sure everyone is on mute. I know Hannah can handle it on her end as well. Let's see. I think I need to share it before I open my little slides. Guys, I made you slides again. That's how much I love you. Okay, here we go. And it also just helps me to stay like super on track, because otherwise I can definitely just talk about a lot of what we're going to go over. So like I can go in so many different directions. But if we haven't had a chance to meet yet, is anyone like pretty new to Powerhouse Women? Just tell us in the chat if you are. I would love to like meet some of the new faces and just get to know who you are. Okay, great. I love it. Oh, I love when I see new faces. And so I always skip over this step, but in case you have no idea who I am or why I'm talking, I'll share a little bit of what inspired this challenge, who I am, who Powerhouse Women is. And, you know, it really all comes down to what I started this conversation talking about. We are a group and a community for people who dream big. At the end of the day, that's why this started. And it really started because I was looking for a space where I could be just as unapologetic about my big ideas. Anyone else like not have a ton of people in your life that you can talk about your really big ideas with? Because that was me 5 years ago. I didn't have a lot of people around me that I could dream really big with. And I was also looking for that perfect balance of people who were also willing to keep it super real about the things that they did not have together. I felt at the time there was so much just of like the highlight reel version of social media, which is great. I love to be inspired by what other people are doing. But if I wasn't careful, I could start to compare myself to someone else's highlight reel when I'm over here looking at my own blooper reel. And my life sure doesn't look day to day like it does probably on my Instagram either. And I wanted to find that space where we could share the highs and the lows and be honest about the challenges so that we all knew that we weren't alone. So Powerhouse Women started just a little over 4 years ago, and it's grown into this beautiful global community of women who are committed to both those things, dreaming really big, remembering that we're not meant to do any of this alone, and being just as honest about the successes as we are about the struggles. Because I think that's the sweet spot, that no matter where in the journey you're at, you can see examples of other women who are just like you, maybe a step or two ahead, or maybe a step or two behind. And I think it just reminds us all that like we're all on the same journey, just at different stages. And trust me, no one has it figured out. I am still daily figuring things out as I go. And I need that reminder all the time so that I don't get caught up in the mental struggle of thinking that other people have something figured out that I don't. And I think that's ultimately how we make these big ideas come true. I also believe that your big ideas were given to you for a reason. Like there's no accident. If you feel that feeling deep inside, and tell me in the chat, if this is you, I just want you to claim it. How many of you know deep down that you are meant for more? Like you wake up, you go to sleep, you have this burning feeling inside you that you are just meant for more. Even if your life right now looks really great, look, I have a life right now that I used to dream about, and I still know I'm meant for more. And that doesn't make us greedy. That doesn't make us ungrateful for what we have right now. That just means that our, whoever you believe your higher power is, has a bigger plan for you. And that feeling would not be put inside you if it weren't for a purpose. Where we often get, I'll just say me, where I often get stuck and where I often get in my own way. Anyone else relate to me on that, like getting in your own way? Where I often get in my own way is my purpose is so big and I can feel it. Like I can literally feel there's just a big plan for me in this life. And I've just scratched the surface of that plan. And I bet you all feel the same way. But it's so big that sometimes I can get overwhelmed by how big it is and never get started. So I had to learn and teach myself and learn from mentors how to have and stay connected to the big vision, which is big, but also focus on that next one step right in front of me. Anyone else like need a little help, a little support around just taking that first or the next step? Yeah, okay. Samara, hopefully I'm saying that right. That's a beautiful name. In the chat said, yes. I see so many of you saying yes, yes. Praise hands, absolutely. Yes, and sometimes not even knowing what the next step is. I love that Candace said that. We are gonna talk about that tonight, okay? So tonight, we're building upon the conversation we started last call on Tuesday, which was about actually taking that big vision and starting to break it down. We're gonna take it one step further. So if you weren't on the call on Tuesday, here's kind of how it's gonna go. We're going to spend the next 45 minutes in this super interactive training, right? So we're going to go over the next step in this process to take your big idea, break it into manageable action steps. And tonight we're going to talk about one of my all-time favorite words. Are you ready? Accountability. I know I'm such a nerd. That's a legit one of my favorite words. And here's why. Accountability, creating the right kind of accountability is what got me out of my own way. It's what got me from the girl who, if you had met me 5-6 years ago, I was still operating at maybe 50-60% of what I was actually capable of. I was so afraid. I was afraid to look stupid. I was afraid to not have it all figured out. I was afraid to try something that I didn't know I would be good at. Anyone feel me on that? Like not liking to try things that you're not going to be good at? Yep, hated it. And it wasn't until I created the right kind of accountability that I started to create some momentum. I love it. Jenny said, but you were so cute. Yes, I probably was super cute. But here's always what I share with people. And I love you, Jenny. There are a few people who've like known me through this whole like transformation. And, they could tell you, I was a very different version of myself then than I am now. And the difference was I finally realized that it didn't matter if I had all the answers, that success didn't come, momentum didn't come from having the perfect plan and being able to see steps 1 through 1,000. It came from, just like we've talked about on the first call, staying connected to that big vision and knowing that, yes, I am meant for more, but focusing on the next 1 to 2 to 3 steps right in front of me and trusting that the rest was going to unfold when I was ready. And we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. Just how do you actually get that momentum that gives you confidence to keep going. So we're going to do about 45 minutes. This is going to be so fun. I was like, I was planning out this training yesterday, like counting down the minutes until we got to connect again, because I just was missing all of your energy, like the incredible energy that you all brought to the call Tuesday and you've brought again tonight. I'm just so grateful for you. So then we're going to do the breakout sessions that everyone loved last time. You guys, these are like the best part of the call. So can't wait to end tonight with those. And of course, we're going to do another epic giveaway tonight. So on Tuesday's call, we already announced Gina was the winner of the Girl Gang membership, annual Girl Gang membership. We're sweetening the deal tonight. We're giving away another annual Girl Gang membership. Plus, one of my favorite things to do, you and I will do a one-on-one strategy call all about your big idea. Literally, you and I strategizing, breaking it down into exactly what you should do next. We'll do it on Zoom and it's going to be super fun. So really, really excited. But here's the deal. Just like last time, we are watching who is commenting, supporting, encouraging in the chat. Who's shouting people out on, on your Instagram story? Who's posting that you're here and what your takeaways are? We want people who are bringing their energy to this community. In like, is there a robot on the call? Double check. Find out who it is. I have my screen pulled up so I can't see, but Hannah will take.
That's the thing. We need to get our roster results and
You are on mute. If you have a male talking in the background. Okay, there we go. So are you ready to get started? Let's go. So here's what we're going to go over tonight. We are going to talk about how do you take the brain dump, the action plan that you did on the first call, and how do you start to break that down into like week by week, day by day, what should I do today if I want to be there 100 days from now? So one of my favorite things to talk about, one of my favorite things to do, this is literally how we break down big, big projects within Powerhouse Women. And we are going to talk about how do you stay on track? How do you stay accountable? And then, accountability leads to consistency. Again, I'm trying to make this sound sexy, but at the end of the day, how you reach your goals is you create accountability so you can stay consistent over time, even when your energy and your enthusiasm dips, because it will. And that's something really important to know. No one just wakes up. I don't wake up every day excited to take on my goals. I have a process in which I keep myself consistent and accountable no matter how I feel. How many of you, if you're honest, because this used to be me, you really start off like out of the gate on fire, and then before too long, you're like, what was my goal? Wait, how did I even like get to this point? And it's fine if that's been your track record in the past, but can we all like claim something right now? No matter how your relationship to goal chasing has been in the past, I believe that you can claim a new identity and you can claim a new reality for yourself starting right now, like literally starting tonight. And I hear this way too often where maybe in the past you've known yourself as someone who starts and doesn't finish things. Anyone have that story? Like I start things, I never finish them. Or maybe it's, I get off track. I procrastinate. That's another one. Listen to the words that you're speaking over your life and choose tonight to catch yourself when you say things like that and rewrite that story and start to claim something new. Whether it's I'm a perfectionist, and Jen, I love how you said you've even felt a lot of shame around that. Yes. Sometimes we actually need to go in and do a process around like, I actually need to forgive myself, number one, for beating myself up, and number two, for maybe the projects I haven't finished. But that doesn't mean you can't finish the next one. It doesn't mean you can't create a new identity as someone who starts and finishes. And I think that really does start with watching how we talk to ourselves about ourselves. So if you catch yourself throughout this process, throughout the next 100 days, as you take on and take what we're going to teach you in the challenge and put it into action, if you start to catch yourself in the act of reinforcing that old story that just doesn't fit where you're going next, that is how things start to change. So, oh, Diamond, I love that. Don't focus on what may happen. You'll never start anything that way. I love that. Yes, so, so good. Okay, so we're like literally diving right in. We're gonna go right into pick up where we left off on Tuesday, which if you haven't done your worksheets yet, no big deal. Don't worry about it, okay? You can do them after tonight and just do both parts. So step one in this whole process was this action brain dump. So it's literally just as it sounds, taking your big idea and throwing up on paper, not actually throwing up, but throwing up all of the steps that you can see you might need to take in order to reach your goal. And then of course, writing down what you don't know, and even what you don't know, and then the people who you could ask for help. So loved hearing everyone's breakthroughs from doing this exercise. How many of you did complete this and did write it down on paper or put it in your phone? I would just love to hear how many people at least got started on this. And were there any hiccups that came up? Did anyone start to run into like, there's more that I don't know than what I know? I would love to hear just if there were anything that came up, like resistance around this, or like breakdowns. Sometimes before we can have a breakthrough, we have a breakdown. Okay, Julie, thank you so much for your honesty, because I knew at least someone was feeling this, because I'm going to share a story in a moment. Wait, let me go back to Julie's comment. I got stuck on the I don't know and the how. So perfect. I've got you. I love it. Let's see. So it flowed so easily. Okay. Oh, Melissa, I love that. And thank you for sharing that breakthrough in the Facebook group. That was so powerful. Don't know how to book events. Okay, perfect. Came back and added more things. It felt overwhelming. Okay, Erica, I've got you too. Thank you so much for your honesty. It felt overwhelming and I got kind of flustered. So here's what I need. We're going to welcome in whatever showed up for all of you. Some of you are like, yeah, that was amazing. I feel great and clear. Some of you are like, oh no, here's another thing I'm not going to be good at. It might have triggered something. First of all, I want to acknowledge those of you that this was a little tough for, you're here. That tells me that you're going to be successful, because you're going to keep showing up even when you're like, I don't know if I did this right. That is so beautiful and so perfect, Erica. I promise you it's perfect. Let's see. Heather said she got stuck. Asking for help is tough. Oh, Abby, yes, feel you on that. Picking one goal was tough. I love that. Didn't completely fill it out. Totally cool. Erica thought it was fun. I love that, right? So here's what I want to reinforce. And tonight, as we start to build upon this, I really want you to get that you will have a vision for some goals that you really don't see more than one step to take. And when I think back to the first big thing I ever did was I wrote the book, Powerhouse Woman, that inevitably ended up inspiring all of this. I had no freaking clue how to write a book. None. Like, was so unqualified. Go back and watch the replay. I shared some of that story on Tuesday. But for me, my action brain dump would have literally been like 3 things. I could only see the next 3 steps to take, which was I did hire a mentor, and that's not always an option, but I'm just sharing what I did. I hired a mentor. I showed up consistently in this program that I signed up for, and I wrote every day. That's literally all I could think to do. And then because I hired a mentor, the mentor actually ended up giving me the next steps. But sometimes if you can't see any other steps, then ask yourself, what are the next 1 to 3 steps that I do see? Don't get, overwhelmed by the fact that there's like 15 bullets here. That's just to give you enough space to write. But sometimes, so for example, I have an idea that sparked earlier this year. It's something I've never done. I have no business doing. It would be a totally different kind of business. It would be related to Powerhouse Women, but I am literally so unqualified for this. I can't even underline it enough. I don't even know where I would start, but you know what happened? And here's what I want. I know I'm kind of hanging out here. We're going to go to what's next, but I feel like someone needs to hear this. So all that I knew was to start sharing my idea. So I got this idea when I was in a mastermind, again, invested in being around people who are much smarter than me. And I started to share this idea out loud. And you want to know what happened? People started saying, hey, I know someone you should connect with. I've got this attorney who specifically works in that kind of industry. So don't worry if you literally only see 1, 2, or 3 steps. And I love what Christine said. I don't know if it's going to work. Yeah, isn't that fun? We have no idea. It might totally not work, or it might be the best thing you ever did. But I love what I think it was. Gosh, I forget which speaker at Powerhouse Women said this, but they said, I either learn or I succeed, and I get the end result that I want. There really is no failure if we look at it that way. Okay, so where are we going from here? Even if you see just 1, 2, or 3 steps, what we want to start to do now, you're going to take your entire brain dump. And I just used this example here of starting a podcast. I actually did a couple of examples for you guys. You're like literally getting a preview of coming attractions. So we just created a brand new course that no one knows about. Literally, the public does not know, all about like how we as a business, we have always done organic launches, and we've had really successful launches with a really small audience. And so we created a whole course, and I outlined like exactly the steps that I took to do this launch course. So I gave you an example. If you were going to do a course, this is what it might look like. And then, and then this one was starting a podcast. So that's the example I have here on the screen. But here's what I want you to know. Again, so like this starting a podcast one, I've already done it. So I easily knew how to make this brain dump because I was thinking back to the steps that I already took. If you're starting something new, you might not even know. Your first thing on here might be, I just need to find someone else who has a podcast and ask them what they did. Maybe your one action step that you see to take is, I'm going to find someone who has a podcast. I'm actually going to find 3 people within the Powerhouse Women community, and I am going to interview those people and ask how they started their podcast. And I know now I love this. We have so many beautiful, like Sarah Brush is in the chat. If anyone wants to talk about starting a podcast, I saw Brianne, who is part of The Good in Media, who produces podcasts. So that's all you need to do, right? Is think of, start to dump the actions that you do see to take. And then for some of them, like, for example, picking a podcast name, let's just kind of like dive deeper. Start to think about, well, okay, how would I come up with a podcast name? Maybe I brain dump ideas. I could ask other people for feedback. I could research name ideas. You want to start to think of, like, if that's the end goal, that step, what other things might I do? Who might I talk to? Who could I ask for help in order to get to the end goal of picking a podcast name, if that's one of my micro projects? And here's what I so often see. We talked about this a little bit on the first call, is when you're focused just on the big goal, and what were our promise from call 1, if you remember, when I said repeat after me. Who remembers it? This is like bonus points. When I said repeat after me, I will stop. Let's see who can finish the sentence. I will, hold on. I'm going backwards because I'm clicking on too many things. Well, okay, I didn't see anyone type it. I will stop keeping projects in my head. Okay, Abby got it first. Thank you. Sometimes there's a little delay in the chat. Yes. So that's exactly what we want to do here. Is we want to start to break that action brain dump down into like, well, what actions would I need to do to get to that step? So step 2 is you're going to start to organize it into micro projects. But here's the key. Are you ready? This is literally going to set so many of you free. You want to start to identify, where are there mini steps that you could take that could be completed in 15 minutes or less? Who can tell me why you think that is important? Why is it important to start to identify what actions could be taken in 15 minutes or less? Jen Lawrence for the win. I love it. Ashley's saying that's about all I can focus. Yeah. Well, you are like about to deliver a baby. So there's that. Yeah. So many of you said it. Quick wins. How many of you beat yourself up because you set a goal or you set an action that's like way too big to even accomplish in the time you've set, and then you never get started? I've been there. That's the only reason I can say that. Or how many of you, this is like, I'm so guilty of that, of this, how many of you have a 15-minute break before you need to do something else or go pick a kid up, or you have like 15 minutes to yourself, and instead of looking at your action list and going, ooh, I can send that one text right now, you're like this. Oh, what's going on Instagram? Oh, who got a new cat? Oh, wow, right? We're all guilty of it. But instead, if you can find even 5-minute pockets and allow yourself, here's the other piece, actually acknowledge yourself for taking an action and not downplaying like, today I only sent one text. Who else is guilty of that? Like you do a lot of like, I only. Yeah, that's how big ideas happen. Literally one small, tiny action step at a time. And then there might be times where, like, for example, for this e-course that we're finishing up, I do need some longer stretches of time to actually focus and work on it. And we're going to talk about that too. But it's really important that you have a list, and then even like a broken down list of smaller actions that even if you have 15 minutes that week, you can still make one progress step toward your goal. And a progress step can be sending a text, sending an email, reaching out to someone who you could interview, who could help you. I want you to see that it doesn't even matter how little or how much time you have, you can make progress toward your goals. And this is literally how it happens. No one person that I know who has a successful business is just sitting around having 10 hours a day to completely dedicate on their work. We all have full lives, busy lives. So organizing them into micro projects. I wanted to visually show you how you can support yourself. So here's one way that you could take what you write on your, your little action brain dump. So on here, and you could literally start to organize it by color-coded Post-it notes. Where are my fellow Post-it note lovers? I know I saw a few of you on the previous call. And this is for someone who's very visual. Maybe this is the type of system that works best for you, where, like, let's say project one could be picking my podcast name. And so I would have, reach out or research names. The second one might say, now I forgot what my action steps were. Do a brain dump of ideas. And here's the really fun part. I'm very visual. That's why I love like a checklist. I love to check things off. Anyone else, be honest if you've done this, you just completed something, but you realize it wasn't on your list. So you write it on the list just to check it off. Yeah. Okay. I found my people. Okay, great. Wow, more of you than I knew. Okay. I love you. I feel so seen. So what's fun then is you can have a completed list where, let's say you took one of those 15-minute actions that day or that week, you get to move that Post-it note under the completed column. And what it does is it visually shows you that you are making progress. Even if you wake up 2 months from now and you're like, wow, I still haven't launched that podcast. You can look and say, okay, but here's what I did do. Now, where can I get back on the train and accomplish something today? So I love this. Hannah will really appreciate this next slide, because this is actually how we as a business manage our projects. Anyone else love Asana? Asana is a project management software, but you don't even have to get caught up in which one. Someone mentioned ClickUp. Yes, there's so many different project management platforms, and almost all of them give you a free trial. Here's what I'll say. Do not do this. Okay. I'm looking at someone here, and you can tell me if I'm calling you out right now, if you feel very seen. Don't get caught up in trying to find the perfect project management system that you never actually manage or start your project. Okay. If this is kind of overwhelming, just start with the Post-it notes, okay? Then when you have some space, maybe you create a project out of evaluating some of the different project management systems and picking the one that feels right for you. So yes, Trello is another one. Trello is kind of like the online version of the sticky notes. Some people really love that. Lily, yes, it's like I know you because I am you. Okay, so even like for this call, I literally have notes here so that I don't forget anything and I don't go too far into tangents. So micro projects, thank you, Teresa, for bringing us back home. Micro projects. First of all, give yourself credit when you do complete a micro project. Stop basing your success on whether you've completed the whole project yet. That's where I see so many of us, myself included, getting, it's almost like we lose our momentum because we haven't done the big thing yet, but we don't see that the big thing happens in so many tiny steps leading up to it. So for example, like I was thinking about another goal, a kind of goal some of you might have is something where literally all you need to do is the same consistent mini win every single week. So for example, we'll talk about this again when I talk about accountability. When I was writing my book, all I did, and some of you have seen me talk about this, is I committed every day, no matter what, Monday through Friday, I would write for 15 minutes. I wanted to give myself a mini win. If I felt great that day and the words were flowing, sometimes I would write for 2-3 hours. Sometimes 15 minutes felt excruciating and I felt like the worst writer ever, and imposter syndrome was so loud, but it didn't matter how I felt. I promised myself every single day I would write for 15 minutes. And I tell you what, that changed my whole life. I would not have a book had I not started that practice. In fact, it's exactly what I'm doing now that I'm working on my second book. Is it's those, so like literally for my first book, my action list would have been very simple. Write for 15 minutes. That's it. It would have had one action and I just needed to keep doing that over and over for the next 14 weeks. So we have 100 days between now and the end of the year. Today is literally 100 days till the end of the year. And our goal is to create a micro project that you will tackle every week for the next 14 weeks. Yes, you can do more. You can do this faster if you want to, but back to our original conversation, we want to create momentum and we want to create a win. So kind of like Gina was saying earlier, that's why I want you to pick one project and show yourself that you can. Yeah, and Teresa, thank you. That's the point, right? We want it to feel so doable so that it gives you that confidence. It shows you that, yes, you absolutely can. And kind of just to like refresh this point, you may not see, you probably won't see every single step that's required. And I just want to reinforce that not only is that okay, we're going for progress. We're not going for perfection here. I want you to reach your goal that you set for between now and the end of the year, but I'm more concerned that you grow as a person in this process and teach yourself some new habits and skills. So every week, you're going to pick one of your micro projects, okay? This is going to be the second piece that will be life-changing if you really let this sink in. Okay, so here's your weekly tracking sheet. Oh, and I saw someone in the chat had asked earlier where you get the downloads. We'll drop the link in here again, and it's also in your email. So Hannah will drop the link so you can download it, and then it's also linked in your email. So here's the deal. Every week, you just pick one of your micro projects to tackle, and you might tackle it on Monday. And you might be like, wow, okay, cool. Well, I did my micro project for the week. Maybe you pick a second one. Maybe that's all that you have bandwidth for. But here's the key part, this next piece. You ready? I want you to start with the one that you feel the least resistance around. I can't underline this enough. This is back to our whole idea of creating quick wins, creating momentum, creating confidence. You know, so often, again, let's use the podcast thing. It's like, well, I can't even start my podcast until I buy the microphone, until I know exactly what I'm doing. No, you could pick one of 15 easy steps before you ever get to the point of recording an episode or buying a microphone, and you can start to build upon those quick wins. So what do I mean by, Karina, I think what you're saying, so you have a microphone and have you not used it? I've been there. I had podcast equipment sitting in my closet for 5 years. 5 years before I ever wrote a book, before I ever started a podcast. So again, why I'm qualified to teach you on this, because I've literally gotten in my own way longer than some of you have been alive. And I know exactly what it took for me to just start creating that momentum. So we're starting with the one that we feel the least resistance around, so that we can acknowledge ourselves for the progress we're making. And you can probably see on this tracking sheet, number one, we're going to start each day with gratitude, or whenever you come to fill out this sheet. I just want you to like really get centered with something you're grateful for. That could be a whole other training series on the power of gratitude and what it can do for us and to move us forward. I want you to acknowledge one step that you took toward your goal that day. And here's the deal. You might be ready to go to bed and you literally hear my voice. That might be kind of creepy, but you're like, oh, and then you hear Lindsay's voice saying, just do one small thing a day. You could get out of bed and you could do 1, 5, or there probably are some actions on your sheet that are 2-minute actions, right? You can do them while you're brushing your teeth. And then like with the other hand, you could send that one text that you wanted to send. I want you to get in the habit of acknowledging yourself for the progress you're making, no matter how small it is. And then of course, identifying one thing you're proud of yourself for. So all along the same lines of creating momentum, creating small wins. Ooh, okay, this is a big one. I'm like, I keep thinking I've covered all the really, really important stuff, and then I'll click to the next slide. All right, here's, again, I'm just telling you all the ways that I got in my own way. Who has the longest to-do list known to man? Let's just hear it. Who's got like lists on lists on lists? And then sometimes you like rewrite the list and you add 10 more things. How many of you honestly have time blocked in your calendar associated with each item on your to-do list? One person does. I love it. Time blocking everything. Yes. Lists for each kid. I love that, Jenny. I'm sure a lot of the moms do. So here's the deal. Time blocking is great. Yes. But I'm even talking beyond time blocking. I've done time blocking before where it was like, oh, I am going to, save the whole world between 2 and 4 p.m. And I would have this time block, but I didn't have a specific intention for that time block. So even those of you who are time blockers, let's just do a quick little check. In the blocks of time that you have set aside for working on your business, working on your passion project, do you have what you're going to accomplish during that time set aside and identified? Because here's what I got caught up in doing. And Julie, I get it, like not being specific enough. And this isn't even, again, my point in saying this is not to make any of us feel bad. It's literally to bring some awareness to the fact that the way I was working was not actually that productive. Because I would maybe have time set aside where I was going to work on XYZ. But instead, you know what I started to do? I started to say, I would put things in my calendar and they will say, write Girl Gang email number 5. Like I will say the exact specific thing I'm going to work on, and it'll be right in my calendar what I'm working on. And then what I do, because visually it's really powerful for me to see, when I finish it, I check it off my to-do list. Actually, I check it off of my Asana to-do list, but I actually delete it from my calendar. So my goal by the end of the day is to have a clean calendar because I've deleted as I complete things. So I want you just to notice, where do you have time set aside, not just time blocked, like I will work during this time, but I actually want you to say like, okay, Monday at noon, I'm going to have 15 minutes. Which one item? Okay, great. I'm going to do this one item. I'm going to knock that out in those 15 minutes. I love that, Karen. Yeah, early in the morning. It doesn't matter when it happens, but and honestly, there are some brilliant women on this call who are even better than me at time management or organization. So don't hesitate to reach out and tap into the community if this is not a strength of yours. That's okay. It wasn't a strength of mine, and I'm still learning. I love that. Yes, Candace, so perfect. Exactly. Like write one post, record one. I was going to say podcast, but for you, dance. Yeah. And then here is another really critical component. And you're going to see you have another sheet in this today's worksheets is reflect. Take some time at the end of the week, whenever you want to. It can be Sunday night, it can be Monday morning, whether or not you write it down. I just really want you to start to notice. Again, this is not to just create another thing that you don't finish. Please do not let this challenge be that. That's like the opposite of my goal. My goal is, even if maybe your goal doesn't happen the way you thought, you have a breakthrough in how you realize you've been operating. Maybe your one breakthrough for this whole experience is you realize what I called out in the beginning. You've been living with this story that you start and don't finish things. So of course you don't finish things. Maybe rewriting that story becomes your new goal, and whatever you accomplish is just inside of that. So I think this reflection, just asking yourself like, hey, what worked and what didn't? Here's something I realized. For me, the time of day that I do certain things absolutely determines whether or not I will do it. For example, I don't write if it's past noon. That's not my highest creativity time. My brain is not focused. I literally have the crappiest writing sessions if I schedule them later in the day. So for me, I might reflect back and be like, wow, I didn't do my writing this week. Why not? Okay, because I said yes to things that I shouldn't have. I filled my mornings with other people's priorities instead of reserving the time for the thing that I said was a priority. So that's kind of like on top of this. We're going to talk a little bit about like what we're saying yes to, and whether or not we're actually creating time for our goals. But the thing to remember is that these small wins are where success happens. That confidence, and we keep using this quote, I really want you to like have this memorized. Your confidence will come from making promises, small actionable ones, and then keeping those promises to yourself. And maybe you have the story that you don't finish things because you've been creating really ridiculously big promises, but not setting yourself up to actually complete those. I'd rather have you set smaller promises inside of a big goal and end every day kind of looking at yourself like, yeah, I'm a badass. I totally rocked that 15-minute project today. So here's the last piece of this conversation. And then we're going to talk a little bit about accountability. How many of you, honestly, again, this is the trust tree. We can be super real and honest. How many of you really live inside a story that there's not enough time? And I'll go first. I am one of those people. I find myself saying that a lot. That's actually one of the stories that I'm reframing. I'll tell you what I'm replacing it with. So if anyone else has, there's not enough time. My new one, and anyone who loves Dr. Joe Dispenza, that's a whole other conversation for another day, is I live in no time and I finish everything. Like time literally just like I don't relate to it the way I used to, and I finish everything. So when I speak that over myself, okay, great. I see at least like a couple of people who also love Joe Dispenza. Look him up if you don't know. But when I start to speak that over myself, I accomplish everything. I prioritize everything. Then I start to notice when I have opportunities that I would normally prioritize over what I actually want to be my priority, I start to make better decisions. So here's the two questions that I'm just giving you what I had to start asking myself when I was living inside of this story. I love that, Ashley. Time is my bitch. Yeah, that can obviously work as well if that works for you. Is really to ask yourself, number one, is this goal really a priority? And this is again, not said at all in condemnation, like you should completely forget about your family and your kids and only work on your goals. No, of course not. I think that our lives should first and foremost be built around our values and family, faith. There's so many values that aren't my business, but I also know that my default is I will say yes to other people. I will say yes to other people's wants and needs and requests of me because I'm afraid to say no. I'm afraid they won't like me. I'm afraid they'll feel disappointed, you name it. And I end up saying yes to a lot of the things that I then resent. And then I wonder why I didn't have time in the past to work on my big goals. But if someone would text me and say, hey, can you talk right now? I would be like, yeah, I can talk right now. Like, what, are you dying? Right? How many people do that? You're like, you get that text and you're like, oh my gosh, this sounds urgent. And they're like, hey, so yeah, latest gossip. And you're like, really? But I'm like, I let that in. I let that into my protected time. So I had to start looking at it this way. Every time I say yes, I'm actually saying no to something else. Whether I feel like whether I realize it or not, when I say yes to taking calls before 11 a.m., that's now one of my non-negotiables. I think it was Sherry, you were asking what are non-negotiables. I don't do calls before 11 a.m. That is my protected time for writing, content creation, doing the things that are my highest priority and highest value contributions to the business. But we have to start looking and honestly asking ourselves, where am I saying yes to someone else and therefore saying no to time that could have been spent building my big idea? And there's a lot of psychology that went into why I was doing this, right? People pleasing, not being willing to ask for help. So I also have it like, oh my gosh, you guys, this is really like, it was such a problem early on. Like I wouldn't even let my husband help or like around the house. I would have it like, only I can load the dishwasher the right way. I'm like, how many other people, like your way is the way to load the dishwasher? I was creating a life that had no margin for me to work on what really scared me. And that was why. So I would think, yeah, control, totally, Karina. I'm also a dishwasher master, Melissa. It's like Tetris. It's like so much fun. It's so fulfilling. But honestly, every time I say yes to something else, or I feel the need to do all the things, I'm really saying no to my bigger priorities and my bigger goals. So it's really Heather said her husband is rolling his eyes. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly something that I've had to work on consistently because as my goals have grown, I need to start saying more no's. And that's really hard for me. It's really, really hard because I want to say yes. I genuinely want to say yes to more things than I can. And I have to come back to this question of, okay, if I say yes to this, is it worth saying no to this thing that I say is a priority? Like right now, writing my second book. Every time I say yes to being on someone's podcast or taking a call with someone that wants to connect, which I love doing those things. But every time I say yes, I'm saying no to finishing my book. So there's certain seasons where I say no more than I say yes because it's toward a bigger goal. But there's other seasons where I get to say more yeses and I carve out time because those things still are really important to me. So I just really want you to hear, I'm like, wait, I can't even remember what this said. Oh, wait, I know what it is. Okay, ready? We're gonna do another repeat after me. If it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. This has been like my mantra. And for those of you, anyone else like recovering people pleasers? Okay, like my Enneagram 2s, I'm actually an Enneagram 9, but I still have a lot of like those same tendencies. Here's what I had to learn to do. I will not say yes right away. If someone makes a request, I tell them I will get back to them in 24 hours. That alone gives me the space to be like, is this a hell yes? Or is this something that I will say yes and then immediately dread having to do that thing I just said yes to? So remember, give yourself space. If you're still building, and actually, I also don't believe in speaking over ourselves that we are people pleasers. We're not. I have people pleasing tendencies that I have to be mindful of and not be, letting those run the show. But when I give myself that space and I say, hey, I'm going to get back to you about that, then it gives me time to step back and say, okay, is this actually a yes? Let me look at my calendar. Do I have my priorities in my calendar first? My family priorities, my faith priorities, my work priorities. And is there actually time? Do I have time for rest? Or am I filling each day to the brim? So I know that that's going to really speak to someone. And again, don't worry about taking all of this tonight. You know which parts spoke to you the most and which ones you are really ready to reframe for yourself. So I want to just cover this last piece about accountability. And it's going to be the perfect segue to sending us into the amazing breakout sessions that I shared about. We are going to, at the end, we're going to do the giveaway winner. So you definitely don't want to leave. You don't want to miss that. You have to be present to win. So hang in there. But I want to talk about this accountability piece, because how many people, so many of you have shared this, and I actually love that this has been your breakthrough. How many of you have been trying to do it alone, meaning your big goals, for way too long? Like, how many of you are putting a lot of pressure on yourself? Like, you should just be good at getting out of your own way. Yeah, same. Me too. I was so afraid to admit that I really struggled with this, that I struggled with like stepping into fear. I really struggled with getting, comfortable being uncomfortable. But then I wanted to like get it all together before I even admitted that I was struggling. And accountability is one of the things that I really needed. And I didn't realize how much I needed it. Because actually, let's be honest, who actually kind of hates accountability? Be honest. Do you hate being held to your word? Do you hate being like, when, especially if it's like my spouse, when he's like, well, you said, or the other day, oh my gosh, I could have punched him. He came in here. I told him like, hey babe, I'm not going to make it to the gym today, but I'm going to do sets of push-ups in between working. Yeah, right. I was like, and I was going to do it. And then he had the nerve to walk past my office and go, hey, how did those push-ups go? And then just keep walking. I hate being called out when I'm not in integrity with what I said I was going to do. I actually hate accountability. Jen said she would have flipped him off. And I love him so much. And really, like, that's one of the things he does for me. I hate it, but I love it because he reminds me, yeah, I promised myself I was going to do that. Yeah, Karina, I do too. Yeah, he's so sweet. He's usually like not super mean, but it's sort of like, Jennifer's, yeah, sorry guys, I might be like putting some of you on blast right now, but it's one of those things where I hate it, but it's the thing that makes me better. So I don't want to be, what did I want to say? I was like reading Hannah's text and then I forgot my train of thought. We're just going to move on because whatever I was going to say must not have been that important, but accountability is the thing. And here's what I want to say, especially if you are committed, like how many of you are actually committed to getting out of your own way, being a totally different person than you are right now in 6 months to a year? Like you've had enough. You're so ready to like level up into the version of you that is in there. Look, again, I wish I could tell you that I figured it out on my own. Nope. 2 things. I mean, accountability is part of both of these. But the 2 things wrapped in accountability were community, right? So a community like this, people who would call me up into what I knew I was capable of, and mentorship from people who had done what I wanted to do. So that's going to kind of tie into this. So I think the 3 best ways to create accountability, you can share in the chat. Oh my gosh, I love so many of you are saying like, yes, I am ready to be called up. Oh my goodness, I'm literally getting chills just reading all of your comments. Yes. And here's the deal. When we claim that for ourselves, when we're ready to level up and become a new version, here's what I know to be true. You have too many blind spots to do it yourself. You're going to need to be in a really, really strong container where you can borrow energy from people. You can give energy back. And you want to be around people who are dreaming even bigger than you. Like when you share your dreams, not only do they say like, yeah, you can do that. Absolutely. Hey, what do you need? What can I help with? But they're also going to say, hey, are you thinking big enough? I think you could do more. And that kind of environment doesn't just happen anywhere. I think it's very intentional. It's literally like why we created Powerhouse Women, so you would know where to find it. But I think number 1, making your goal public. Now, I don't necessarily mean, you don't have to like blast it to the entire world. Nicole, I love that question. We're going to talk about how do you create it? Where do you find it? I love that question. Making your goal public, whether that is with a small group that you can dream really freaking big and they're friends that won't let you off the hook. Here's the deal with like, I love accountability groups. So like the second one, maybe create a little accountability group, an accountability structure. You have to go in knowing you can call each other out. I've been in accountability groups where it's sort of like, hey, I'm gonna kind of like let you off the hook. So like, hopefully you'll let me off the hook. That just doesn't move the needle. It just doesn't. So you have to ask yourself, am I actually ready right now to be held accountable? Am I ready to be called up into who I'm really meant to be? And then create that safe container that you can call each other out and call each other up. That's the only way that accountability groups work. And if you've been in one before that didn't feel like it had that structure, that's okay. Now you just know what to look for and what to create. And we can share a little bit more, even on the next call. We're going to really talk about community like a lot on the next call. So we'll talk about how do you create that structure. Tonight, I just want you to start thinking about what's actually going to hold you accountable. And then the third one is to hire a mentor. Here's the deal. Here's what I learned about myself that's really unfortunate. I am not willing to get out of my own way, like really willing to get uncomfortable unless I'm uncomfortably invested financially. Now, in the beginning for me, that was like investing $50 in a course or like $100 in something. So I really want you to find yourself wherever you're at. This does not mean that you have to go out and drop more money than you're willing to. But I want you to sit with this question. If you knew that making an investment into a mentor, a coach, a program, whatever it is that's really speaking to you, and usually it'll start to speak to you and you're not going to feel ready. I've never felt ready to make the investment that I ultimately ended up making, but I became a different person on the other side, because instead of saying, well, can I afford this? Is this comfortable for me right now? Let me tell you, and I'm just sharing this because some of you are at this point. So please don't like take this the wrong way. If you're not at the point that you're ready to make an investment, that's not what I mean. Because I also don't want you investing before your time, because that's going to create the wrong kind of pressure. So what I was going to say is how I make my decision. This is anytime I decide to invest in something, I ask myself this question. Am I investing in what's comfortable for me right now, or am I investing in who I want to be 1 year from now? And if I can stand from the point of who I want to become a year from now and look back and I say, would that version of me, would that Lindsay be really proud of me for saying yes to this investment? Then it's a hell yes. And it's just a matter of saying, well, okay, how do I figure it out? And I'll never forget the first mastermind I ever did. It was more money than my car. And I remember being really kind of nervous to go to my husband and just share, hey, I really see value in this. I think I want to do this. He's always been supportive. I also knew that I had to go to him with an actual plan. So I think it's important to know too, that like, if another person in your life is involved, they might need to see that you see a future, you see a plan for taking that investment and like that mentoring experience or that coach, and you see how you're going to turn it into something so far beyond. And the moment I sat him down and I said, look, I know, I was like, sit down. Are you comfortable? I'm like, are you hungry? Are you hot? Like, let's make sure you're happy. But then I said, hey, I want to share my plan with you. And that investment went on to more than, at this point, 50x. So I would say it was a good investment, but at the time it felt so freaking scary. I literally wanted to like puke. So I saw some questions in the chat. I just want to come back to this because we will talk about mentorship even more next call. So don't worry about that. So many of you, yes, have already invested in six-figure school. We'll talk about that. Okay, Karina, this is the question I wanted to go to. What about if we're hooked on investing and not fully following through? Girl, I love you so much. You were just the realest. if you guys have not connected with Karina yet, you all need to. You need her in your life and need to know her. That's a really honest question to ask yourself. I would look underneath. Number one, are you expecting the investment to make the difference for you? So, for example, I invested in that first mastermind. It was really scary, and it wasn't actually what I expected. Not in a bad way. I just remember walking in, realizing really quickly, oh, wait a minute. I thought this person was going to have answers for me. And it turns out, like, I thought they were going to close the doors and be like, okay, now that everyone's here, we're going to tell you the secret that no one else knows in the whole world. We're only going to tell you. But it turned out that businesses that were 10 times as big as mine were still having the same challenges and conversations. And I realized that if I was going to generate the value, I had to show up differently. And that was the difference between how I'd showed up in other programs. And I had a lot of that too. Like, oh, I just need one more course. I just need one more mastermind. I just need one more of this. It's that healthy self-awareness to catch yourself in the pattern that keeps leaving you with that result. So, so much more I could say about that. We can totally talk more about this. We're going to talk more about mentorship next week. So, Melissa said that too. That's the difference for her now. She's actually showing up. Yep. So I want to talk a little bit about, because we keep, we're doing the giveaways for the Girl Gang membership. Next week, next Tuesday, the final call, we are giving away a scholarship to our 12-week business mentorship program called Six Figure School. So since we keep mentioning it, I want to talk about what these are so that you know. And again, whether Powerhouse Women is the place you want to grow or not, like, I think there's more than enough room for everyone. And I know that some of you coming out of this are going to need more support than just trying to do what you've always done, going this alone. So the things that we have created, we really tried to structure things based on where people are at in their business. So we have everything from a monthly membership, which is just kind of like it's a low investment. It's meant to just be a container where you can connect with like-minded women, find people who can be, not just business besties, but who could maybe be accountability partners. And we do monthly content, calls very much like this one. We do them once a month with the breakout sessions at the end. They're so much fun. And that is a really beautiful space. No matter, we have a lot of women who are in other programs, but they're still in the membership because it just is such a great supportive container, such beautiful energy. So we're going to be giving away an annual membership to that tonight. I cannot wait. The second one, and the one you're going to hear more about, Six Figure School. So those of you who are currently right now, and tell me if this is you in the chat, I actually am just curious, like, who's kind of where people are at in terms of their business, only if you're comfortable sharing and don't feel obligated. So Six Figure School was literally created for businesses that are just anywhere from like the tiny seed of an idea, don't even know what your business is, all the way up to earning 6 figures a year. So like right under 6 figures. And the thing about that is, and then our mastermind is for businesses that are scaling beyond 6 figures, right? So what we found was there's just different conversations. We found that the women who were just starting businesses, and it seems like a lot of you, yeah, okay, I love that. Don't even know what the business is. Oh yeah, we've had so many women come into Six Figure School with no idea what their business is going to be. And what it does, here's what I want to tell you. And I'm starting this conversation now because I want those of you who know you're really ready for like a higher level of mentorship, accountability. I just want you to sit with this for the next couple of days. I don't want you to do anything. I'm not even asking you to sign up. I want you to sit with it. And I want you to ask, where have I been getting in my own way? What do I really need? And especially those who your goal is something business related, like you want to start a business, you want to get your business off the ground. We have literally created exactly what everyone asked us for, which is a step-by-step plan. So if you are creating your action steps and you're like, I don't freaking know, here's my end goal, launch a business. Step 1 is no clue. We've literally laid out the 12-week step-by-step plan to give you what to focus on, especially those of you who are really, really busy and have like full schedules. you need to have a plan. You need to know if I have 15 minutes today, what one tiny thing am I focusing on? So that's the difference between Six Figure School. A mastermind is for businesses that are already making six figures and beyond. And literally, I mean, already, I know there's so many of you in the chat who joined our next round of Six Figure School. I'll talk about it more on Tuesday. You're going to hear more about it. So like I said, I literally just tonight, I want you to start to think, like, if you pray about it. I want you to just really sit with this, and you'll know if you're feeling called up into a container like this. So it's 12 weeks. It literally kicks off next week. So we're gonna go from the challenge right into your next action plan. Step-by-step plan. We talk about both strategy, we talk about mindset. The energy of this call is exactly what Six Figure School is. You get that every week from now till January. And then the best part about it, and this is what I really love and why we created it this way. Everyone is meant to go at their own pace. So some women come in, and for the whole 12 weeks, they just focus on mastering module 1 and 2, just getting clear about what their idea is, who they want to serve. And then the next time around, like some of you, tell us in the chat who this applies to. Some people are coming back and they're doing it for the 3rd time, and you don't have to pay again. So literally you join and you're in for the life of the program, meaning every time we do it, you get to come back and do all the live Zoom Q&A calls just like this. You get to plug into the community. And what's beautiful is now we have women who've been through it, like, look, 3 times, and they're still showing up. And now these women become part of your accountability and mentorship structure. So yes, like, I love answering questions, but yeah, well, Angela said, I feel like you need to offer it more than once a year. So there's a lot to that. So we've offered it before more than once a year. I'm not saying that we won't, but here's back to the thing about saying no so you can say yes. I know on my heart, I am meant to finish this damn book. I meant to finish my book this year. And one thing I had to say no to in order to say yes to what I know is literally, it makes me cry. It's going to serve all of you in like such a bigger way. I had to say no in order to a spring 6-figure school so I could say yes to the book. And I'm going to stay really honest and always share this stuff with you guys, because you're sometimes going to have to say no to what's good so you can say yes to what's great. And don't worry, we're not going to leave people hanging. So we are starting the next round. You can check out the details at the website. It's just joinsixfigureschool.com. But I just want you to sit with it for right now. And then we're going to talk about it more next week and talk about like how you can actually join. And we're going to be giving away a scholarship on Tuesday next week, which I cannot freaking wait to see who wins that. So in a moment, we are going to do the breakout sessions. And I know that I don't think we have time to do questions tonight because there was a little bit more content to cover. But here is what we're going to do. I would love if just in the chat, really quick, share one thing from tonight that really spoke to you that you're going to take away and you're really going to put into action. I just want you to sit with it. And then I'm going to have you share this in your breakout groups. So I want you to think about it first. Teresa said the micro projects, small wins. Yes. Setting boundaries. Hell yes. Oh, hell yes versus hell no. I love that. Boundaries, Jessie said. So I want everyone to think about what was your one takeaway that you really know, like this is going to be a new way that you're showing up for your big idea. And what we're going to do in a moment is, so if you weren't on the call last time, what happens is you'll get a little pop-up notification from Zoom. And you are gonna, it'll say like, do you want to join a breakout room? And what it does is it randomly assigns you with like a few other women. And so instead of being on this big call where it's kind of easy to like hide or it's kind of easy to be shy, this is just an opportunity to like actually connect and make some new friends. And so many of you messaged me saying that the breakout groups were unbelievable and you met so many amazing people last time. So all you have to do, literally, you don't have to impress anyone. You don't have to have anything figured out. You're just going to share your name, where you live. And then just everyone will go around, make sure everyone gets to share within like the first 10 minutes. And then if anyone has to hop off, you can. But I think last time, I don't even know how late the breakout rooms went. Some of you were connecting for a while, and then people were mad. Those of you on the East Coast where it's like getting kind of late, you're like, what the heck? I have to get up early. Yeah, sorry, not sorry for getting you amped up. I know it's always so tough with time zones, but mind your sleep. Make sure you're doing self-care. But we're gonna have you break out into groups. You're gonna share where you're from, your name, your biggest takeaway, and then just connect a little bit, exchange Instagram handles, and get to know one another. But please make sure that you give people an opportunity to share so they can hop off if they need to. Don't be afraid to tell people like, hey, I got a jet. And then we are going to be back here. We are going to finish this up in the most powerful way on Tuesday. And we're going to bring this to not even a close. We're going to literally launch you into the last 100 days of the year so powerfully, ready to crush the goals that you've set. And more than anything, I just want you to make yourself proud. I want you to prove to yourself what you're capable of. When you commit to one goal, you break it down and you just really show yourself what you're capable of. Because if I could literally take what I feel inside and like just telepathically send it to you, how much I believe in you, I would, but I don't think they've invented that technology yet. So instead, the next best thing I can do is teach you how to find that within yourself, because that's the only thing standing between you and the life that you want, and the business that you want, and everything that you want, the version of yourself that you want to be. So, are you ready to know who won tonight? So tonight, just to refresh everyone's memory, we are giving away an annual membership to the Girl Gang community and a one-on-one strategy call. You and me, we're gonna have a little Zoom date and talk all about your strategy. Can I get some spirit fingers? Let's see. Oh, I'm like, hold on, that's my Justin Bieber playlist. That's not it. Okay, the winner of the Girl Gang membership strategy call is, tell and unmute if you're here and like come on down, do like a Bob Barker. Karina Rodriguez. Are you here, Karina?
Yes, I'm here. On the other side of the I'm on the East Coast, but I'm here. I made it. I got to my hotel right in time. I was my
Wait, Karina Rodriguez.
I think there's actually two. And so the one I have is with a C. Holy, never did I ever think we would have two. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. No, you both get to win. Okay. So I'm not gonna like punish anyone for having the same name, but I looked and I was like, wait a minute, this is spelled with a C. How funny is that? Okay, well, you two need to become best friends now. Same name. Oh my goodness. How funny was that?
You are so classy.
You are both gonna get the prize. Why not? My dream in life is to be Oprah and like be able to be, you get a car, you get a car. But right now we're giving away Girl Gang memberships and strategy calls. So Hannah will email you both with how to get that arranged and how to set that up. And I'm so excited. Yay, two winners, even better.
Thank you. That's exciting.
Well, I'm glad that didn't happen for next week because we won't be able to give away 2 MacBook computers. So hopefully we'll have just one winner with one name, but everyone congratulate them. Thank you ladies so much for just being in a part of this community and just pouring your love into the chat tonight. I'm so grateful, so appreciative. And we can't wait to see you in the Girl Gang. Yay. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to have Hannah open the breakout room. So watch for the notification. Go meet your new besties, rest up, and I will see you on Tuesday. Okay, bye everyone.